Hi, I'm Karl. I'm legally blind, and today I'm going to be answering some questions about legal blindness and what life's like.
Karl, you have had a guide dog. You've had two, actually, at two
Yep.
different times in your life. How did having a guide dog impact your daily life and independence?
So, having a seeing eye dog, guide dog, mine were both from Guide Dogs Who Are Blind. Shout out to those guys. They treated me fantastic and took great care of my dogs and me while I was there. Taught me a lot. And having a guide dog is different because with a cane, you're always feeling and perceiving your environment through your cane. And I'm a tall guy, and canes don't work so good at looking up. Actually, don't work at all looking up. So I used to hit my head a lot. One of the advantages of a guide dog for us taller people is that the dogs are trained to look up. And so that was really nice. And I like to walk fast. Both the dogs I had, they could get out and move and just, we flew. And it was interesting. It's different. Like I said, with a cane, you're always feeling your way through the world, and you have to change your perception and just start to trust and know that the dog is going to do the right thing, and they do. And it's a wonderful experience. I loved moving fast, and then there's pros and cons.
So, tell me about those pros and cons.
So the pros and cons, like I said, loved moving fast, loved being able to train my dogs to find things that were otherwise difficult for me to find. So those were pros. The One of the cons is that if you're an introvert, you're going to have the same conversation every single day, over and over and over again. What's your dog's name? How long you've been together? It, the list of questions, there's 10, and at times I swear I just wanted to print a business card with the answers to each of those questions and just start handing them to people because I already knew what question was coming next. So it gave you a lot of conversation exposure. People are attracted to you when you have a seeing eye dog, whereas the cane user is familiar with the experience of people just run and flee. They don't know what to do. People don't talk to you. So it really is the yin and the yang of experiences. If you're an extrovert, you're going to meet a ton of new people. If you're an introvert, it can be a little tiring, wearing. But if you're in a community or a smaller town or neighborhood or something, um, everybody's going to get to know you and your dog. And after a period of time, everybody knows you already. So the questions aren't as constant. Although it is kind of funny. I don't have any children, but I think it's like having a kid. A lot of people knew the name of my dogs and didn't even know my name. But you know what? I don't care. That's fine with me.
So, you do not have a dog. So, what is that decision like to have a dog and then decide it's not fitting into your life that well right now? And so, how do you navigate the world best now?
So best way for me to navigate the world now is back with my cane and or my friends, my wife, and it it takes some adapting, getting back used to and familiar with using your cane after having a dog for a long time. But there's also limitations, and I was doing a lot of international travel, and the place I was going, a seeing eye dog, guide dog, was not understood in the culture. I wasn't fluent in the languages of places I was, and so trying to explain to them why I had my dog and all that, it just wasn't going to work. And my last dog was at retirement age, and so I took that opportunity since he was retiring and I had some things I wanted to do that were best done without a dog to go ahead and do them. And it doesn't mean that I won't go back to having a dog at some point in the future. It just means for right now, with my travel schedule and the places I'm visiting and just my current lifestyle. And that's an important part. Nothing is permanent. You can go back and forth. Although if you have a dog, you need to use it on a regular basis. Otherwise, they go out of training and they forget what they're supposed to do. So if you have a dog, you need to use it regularly. You have to take them to new places so they don't just get really habitualized and patterned. But yeah, both are great. In order to get a dog, you have to have orientation, mobility skills. So you're going to have to go to school and learn how to use that cane anyway. So once you have that skill, you can back to it. It's like riding a bike. If you know how to use your cane, going back to it is never difficult. And there are times when your dog may be sick, or you may be going to a fancy event and you just, it's going to just go a little better with your cane versus a dog, or you actually want to have a conversation with other people, including yourself, and not have that dog conversation every time. So you'll adapt, you'll move with the situations, and you'll make the right choices for you and your dog, and you'll take them to the places that it works great. And if your dog just doesn't like somewhere, you're going to avoid that situation with them, because why would you do that to them? You love them.
So, what are some other examples of assistive technologies or tools that you personally use that help you with daily tasks? You can broad stroke those. We can always go into more detail later, but
Yeah,
tell
so
people how you use certain things that they might not be aware
so probably one of the things I use the most is audiobooks, and luckily now the libraries have great selection, so we get the really good narrators instead of the olden days when it was volunteer narrators and weren't always the best, but they provided a great service to us. Thank you, people that read all those books for me for the past umpteen decades. And other things that I use, my cane, screen magnifiers, there's the, what do they call it, the audio description on the movies and television, and then the eye I'm getting removed. As the day goes on, it will not look as normal. It'll start to just float around and move and whatnot. And so if I'm going out to make other people more comfortable, I will actually, this goes on my glasses. I bought it off Amazon. I can't remember what it's called, but I'll try to stick a link in the description or something. It just covers it up. So it makes it easier for other people. I don't feel what my eye's doing. It's floating around, but I know it's difficult for people to see non-symmetry. And I also knew that tomorrow when I get the eye removed, that for 2 months I'm not going to have the prosthetic in there. And once again, that's just awkward for people to look at. So I'm going to just wear glasses with a covering so that I don't make other people uncomfortable, because that's never my goal. And then once I get the prosthetic, I'll slap it in. And if for some reason I ever have to have it out, I've got the covers for my glasses to put in if, for some reason I can't wear my prosthetic.
So tell us about your vision right now, because I'm going to ask you in a few moments about the surgery, but tell us about what your vision is currently like today. And you can go in your right eye and your left eye separately or all together.
Sure. So my right eye, it slightly perceives light. And when I say that it perceives light, if you shine a really, really bright light in my eye, I can see that it forms a gray color. I can't see the edges of the light. I can't even tell you where the light's coming from. I can just tell you that there is a different shade of gray, and that's it. And it's pretty useless. It actually interferes in my vision because my brain does still perceive it. And so when your eyes do that crossover thing, I part of my left eye, which still does have some vision, part of the vision is interfered with because of the right and that gray that it perceives. So my left eye, I use a lot of magnification to do any reading at all. I don't read a lot of printed text in an entire day. I even last night went to a restaurant and I had pre-read the menu ahead of time, knew what I wanted, and never even touched the menu. So I can still see, and people, because I was raised and had the ability to see, a lot of people meet me and they at first don't think that I can't see much. And then as I do a couple funny things, they start to clue in and realize, but it really is confusing to people that meet me to realize how centralized my vision in my left eye is, and also how limited it is. It's roughly 2200, and it's a pretty tight little circle just in the center of my left eye.
So remind people watching, what happened to your right eye? How did you lose your vision?
So I lost the vision in the right eye because of a retinal detachment. It wasn't my first detachment, but because my eyes are so long, the retinal skin was so thin that and it was all stretched so much that when they would try to tug it to put it back down, um, it, it was just like pantyhose or something. They couldn't make the run quit because it would create another hole somewhere else, and eventually there just wasn't enough to work with. So the doctors did their best, and I appreciate that. But now it's not working, and because of a surgery I had over 30 years ago, there's pain in that eye, and so the combination of the no sight and the pain is what gets us to this place.
Okay. And so you've had the eye itself is still it is not working, but it's still viable. It still receives blood flow and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So your decision to have your eye removed is elective in a way.
Correct. So I'm very fortunate. I got to have conversations with the doctors over almost 6 months or a year of me getting to the place where I was finally ready to have it removed. And the reason I'm removing is it's never going to work again. It has other structural issues and other issues that are going to require maintenance and regular doctor visits and medications and injections and all sorts of things. And in the end, we're 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 changing the tires for a car that's up on blocks without an engine. And I just feel like it's a waste of resources. It's a waste of time. It limits my freedom, and the kicker of it is the pain. And so once it's gone, the pain will be gone, and I'll I'll have just to go in and get my prosthetic polished every 6 months to a year, and that's a lot less often than I go to eye doctors right now. And so it was a built the T chart and looked at the pros and the cons, and the pros definitely outweighed it for me. But everybody's got to make that decision on their own.
So surgery has risks and it also has benefits. And so at first glance, you were really weighing over the risks. And so what kind of things, for anyone out there considering an eye removal, what what risks and benefits did you consider, and any other alternatives before you came to this decision?
So there were some alternatives given to me. I'm not even going to mention them because some of them just weren't really even good, and all doctors don't even do them anymore because they're really not good options. But the biggest one is always infection. And so, you're playing with something that's awful close to your brain, and you never want to get an infection going up in your head. Go to the dentist, get your teeth cleaned. There's a reason we do these things. And the eye's even closer, so infection's a concern to worry. And how will it look aesthetically at the end? A lot of people actually perceive that my right eye, the one that doesn't work, is actually my functional eye. And it's kind of ironic because it's the eye that's had so much surgery, and yet there's something about it that people think make it look healthier. It doesn't matter to me. I'm past the age of vanity. Not going to become a supermodel, so I'm fine with it. The biggest thing for me is just I like to go and do things, and I had this just nagging concern every time I take off on a trip, having to know where are eye doctors that can actually understand an eye as complex as mine and have the ability and the facilities to do anything if something bad happens. And so now I'll be free of that worry, and the pain will be gone. And the pain is really the overarching piece, is that living with pain is just not good for your body long term. And I'm ready to be done with it.
When you first realized that the interventions weren't working and something more significant needed to be done, how did you feel? How did you come to terms with that?
I I think it was easier for me. Normally, when you're getting an eye removed, it's because you have just been diagnosed with cancer in your eye, or you have been in a traumatic accident or something like that. So I think for most people, an eye removal there isn't a lot of time to process it. And I've really had my entire life to process that this point, you may get to this point. And so I think for me, it was just a lot easier because it was such a gradual progression to get here. And I, it, it's real, this is going to sound strange to almost everybody, but I really felt a sense of relief, like, okay, finally we can do this. And I was surprised that the doctors weren't fighting me and making me beg them to take it out. They got it, and they were really supportive. And there was also a sadness that some of them expressed about that we were to that place, but I think I had already gotten past the sadness, and so I'm a little ahead of them on this. Sure, and they probably know something that I don't.
And you really investigated this before you made your decision, and you went
Yeah.
and visited with, you want to talk about all the specialty clinics that you went
Oh my
to, the
gosh.
specialists?
I spent about a week at an eye hospital and I saw glaucoma, I saw retina, went to cornea, I saw plastic surgery. I I investigated every specialist that could work on any piece and part of my eye, had a look at it, and they all agreed it will never work again. So that's very relieving to have everybody saying it's done. And if it's causing you pain, you can just get rid of it because it's done. So that was really nice.
So, can you talk about some of the support systems and resources that are available, including low vision? You visited with low vision and occupational therapy as well as
Yeah,
on your radar. So, can you talk about some of the resources that are available to people and support systems?
sure. So I go to a low vision clinic because when you go to a normal eye doctor, you get your 10-15 minute eye doctor appointment, and that's fine for a normal eye. But when you start getting to the place that I'm at with my vision, then I need to do things a little different. And so, for instance, when I go to low vision, it's an hour-long appointment, and they tell me to bring anything that I like to do. So if you like to cross stitch, bring your cross stitch with you. If you like to knit, bring your knitting with you. If you like to do large print Sudoku, bring your large print Sudoku book with you. And then they they work on seeing what adaptive technologies are, magnifiers that you wear, magnifiers that you put on things, screen readers. They've seen it all, and they have access to, and all the companies send them their newest products because they want them to get into the hands of the people that need them. And so there are things that I saw in my last visit that I didn't even realize existed. For instance, there was this thing that clips on the side of your glasses and it has a little camera and has an earpiece, and it'll sit there and read a menu to you, and you don't have it looks completely normal, slightly abnormal, I guess, that you have a little thing clipped on the side of your glasses, but in comparison to the things that we used to have even 5-10 years ago, innocuous. And the fact that it's reading it into an earpiece that's inside your ear, nobody else has to listen to your screen reader running out loud, or you don't have to pull your earphones out and shove them into your ears. You can it'll read street signs to you. It'll identify objects to you as you're walking, and there are different modes. And I was just like, wow, this is really cool. We've hit some future. And so I was just so impressed. I was like, this technology is so cool. Wow, how incredible is it that we have gotten to a place where the things have become so small and so innocuous and yet so powerful in what they're able to do and how helpful they can be. Blew my mind.
Have you tried VR?
I did try a VR headset. Yeah, I forgot about that. Very interesting. It was actually really cool, and it kind of sort of worked for me. I'd be interested in trying it again, and I think I'm doing that at my next appointment. But technology is just amazing. It's advancing so fast that don't feel like going to low vision is a waste of time because you've already tried a magnifying glass. They've got stuff that's way cooler than that these days.
And what have you found to be the most helpful in coping with your progressive vision loss?
I think the most important thing is a great group of friends. And I, this is one of the trickiest parts about progressive vision loss or any degenerative condition. Probably, I think I can say any degenerative condition. So, with my vision loss, I would love to do something and have a hobby, and then my vision would get to the point where that didn't work anymore. And then sometimes I would find a way to find something that through adaptive technology or whatever that would allow me to continue to do it. And then my vision would decrease again, and then I would go through that same heartache and sadness of I can't do what I love anymore again. So now it's been taken away repeatedly, and that's a very difficult roller coaster to ride emotionally. I always have said that losing your vision all at once, although it would be much more traumatic, I think it would be easier because you would just learn to adapt once and you would essentially be done instead of going through the sadness of having it taken away, possibly regaining it, only to have it taken away again, maybe regain it again to have it taken away. So having those friends that understand and can support you, I think, or family or your church or whatever social support network you have is just absolutely paramount. You've got to have friends.
So tell me a little more about how family and friends can support someone that's in a situation like yours, or with low vision or blindness.
Mm-hmm. Get really familiar with the cycles of grief, the anger, the frustration, the sadness, um, because it just keeps happening over and over and over again. And just get really familiar with the anger that's being expressed isn't about you. It's the person's frustrated because they're trying to do and be the best person they can be, and all of a sudden they can't do something. They feel inferior, they feel frustrated, they're sad, and that emotional roller coaster. Maybe we're tougher than those teen years on our friends, but if you understand that it's not about you, it's what we're going through, and unfortunately sometimes we express it very poorly, that if you're a mature person, you're a great friend, and thank you for your support of anybody going through any degenerative condition.
So, how can someone support their loved one or their friend right before surgery? Or having a big surgery
Yeah,
tomorrow. So, what are some things that would be helpful for someone going through that?
it's nice. I know I've had my friends checking in, and then today, for the most part, they're all giving me space because they know I'm getting ready, and then they'll start checking in on me after surgery again. So just knowing that they're there, the good wishes, and I enjoy laughing with my friends. We joke and tease about my new eye and me being bionic, and sometimes you gotta laugh. You can't stick in the sadness and the tough part, and so it's really nice that my friends we can go there, we can be serious, and then we can come out of it. We can laugh and joke and talk about me and my third eye or being a cyborg or and just being silly because laughter really helps you heal.
What's the one thing that you found amazing that everyone says to you when you say that you're getting your eye removed?
It's really funny. So it just keeps happening over and over. Everybody keeps asking me, "Are you going to get a different color eye?" And I get it because it is an interesting curiosity. And who knows, maybe I will. I happen to live somewhere where getting an extra prosthetic is very inexpensive. And so maybe I will get a weird colored one or something, but for the most part, I try to make people not uncomfortable. And asymmetry really makes people uncomfortable. And so having a, a neon green eye or purple or something, although it sounds like it would be kind of interesting and funny, it's like, no, that would just make people uncomfortable. So no, I'm gonna get an eye that matches this one, and that's just the way it's going to be. If I decide that I feel like spending some extra money to have a Halloween eye or something, I guess maybe I'll do it, but I don't see the point at this stage of the journey. But give me some time. Maybe I'll come around and see what all of you see that I'm just not getting.
Okay. So tomorrow is the eye surgery, and it's at 6 a.m.
Yep,
So
I'm a
you
morning person, so we're good.
no, nothing to eat, nothing to drink, get it over with quick, right?
I don't even like breakfast.
No,
My worst idea of a restaurant serves breakfast all day.
So you have an idea of what's going to happen tomorrow and the
Mhm.
days following, but
I hope so. I think they're taking my eye out.
that's what they've been talking about. So what have they told you is going to happen on the day of surgery, and what does the surgical procedure involve that what you're expecting to happen?
So I'm gonna show up. They'll gown me up. I figure they'll write on my face and confirm which eye, because nobody wants to make that mistake, take the wrong one out. Then they're gonna wheel me back. They're going to take the muscles off of my current orbit, pop the eye out, cut the optic nerve, and then at that point they'll put the prosthetic holder into the eye socket and reattach the muscles to it. The one I'm getting is made out of a coral-like material, and my body will build blood vessels into it, and it will incorporate into my body. And at that point, I'm basically done. I think they tape my eyelid closed for a couple days, and that's it. And then the pain is going to be around the muscles that they've cut and had to reattach. So the the socket that goes into, or the ball that goes into my eye socket to hold my face open, since it won't have an eye creating structure, that has the holes in it where the muscles go through, and it will create the motion and movement for the prosthetic, which will be formed in 2 months, and it'll sit in front of the ball that they put in.
So what are your hopes and expectations for life after surgery?
My hope and expectation is it's going to be fascinating to not have eye pain after 35 years of having it. And it's going to be so nice to not have to build my day around having to take those breaks and rests so that my eye pain can decrease so I can continue on with my day. And hopefully it's going to look really nice and good. Where I'm going, they're a phenomenal eye hospital. And so I don't really have any concerns about it. They're going to make it look as good as they can with what's left.
And then the recovery period. They've given you some ideas of what the recovery period looks like.
First couple days, it sounds like, are pretty miserable. And some people get a lot of nausea and stuff. I don't expect to get that. I've never gotten nausea from anesthesia, and I don't get motion sickness, and my eye doesn't work. So it's not like my brain's going to all of a sudden have to try to figure out equilibrium and things without that eye. And so I'm hoping that I'm going to get through the first couple days without the nausea that some people get. And then I expect after the first couple days, the pain will be decreasing. And by day 7 to 10, I expect to be back to my normal self. And then in 2 months, they'll come and do the impression, and takes them about 3 days to make my prosthetic. And then I'm good to go.
So you stay pretty positive and motivated, even given these circumstances. So tell people a little bit about your secret on that. How do you stay so positive?
You just look for the good. I don't. There's no point for me in dwelling on the what ifs and the I should haves and I could haves and being angry at my body. I got the body I got. I got the eyes I got, and so either accept it and make the best of the situation and just go live your life, or you can do it the other way. But man, it just didn't look fun to me, and it looks pretty miserable. So I, I guess I just look at it. It's kind of like that prayer in AA where it's you understand the difference of what you can change and what you can't. I can't change that my eye doesn't work, so I just have to accept it and just do my best and move along.
And there are some things about embracing change. Ideally, you wouldn't be spending your time going and having eye surgery if you didn't need it, but it is needed. So allowing that change to come in and lead to personal growth and new opportunities. Or so, tell us a little bit about some of that growth and new opportunities that you're looking forward to the most.
It's a good question. I One of the greatest things that has happened in this journey is that I've gotten to visit with friends and family that I haven't seen in a reasonable amount of time. And so I'm grateful for those connections and that time with those people. And I'm just looking forward to the freedom of getting back traveling even more and seeing more of my friends and seeing new places and having new experiences, learning a new recipe. Just I want to get back to the me that I was before the last couple of years, and I'm confident that this eye change out, this divorce with my eyeball is going to give me the freedom to do those things again.
Can you give a shout out to the Ronald McDonald House?
So I'm currently filming this episode here at the Ronald McDonald House, and wow, these guys have been great. The last time I was here for all those appointments, 8 days of appointments to really look at the eyeball and figure out what's left and what are my options. They housed me the entire time. The Ronald McDonald House is incredible, and it's a beautiful facility that I'm in. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's clean. The staff are phenomenal. They're the kitchens are wow, stuff of dreams. And once again, I said, hey, I'm coming back to get my eye out, and they hooked me up again, and it's it's just an amazing experience. So hopefully none of you will ever need to utilize it. Hopefully you all can support it. And if you ever do need to utilize it for some medical situation, they are wonderful to work with, and they really have thought out everything. So it's really an honor to get to stay here and be treated like they treat you. It's humbling.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with anyone watching this today?
Yeah, if you or somebody is getting to the point where their eyes are giving them significant problems, get them to an actual eye research hospital. Nothing against your local optometrist and ophthalmologist, but at a certain point, you need to get to research hospitals. So they tend to be university medical hospitals that have ophthalmology programs, and they know all the current and newest research, they know the newest techniques, and sometimes they know about things that can really help prevent degeneration. And so it's like you go to your GP as long as you're doing regular stuff with your body, and then when you need higher levels of care, you start seeing specialists, and your eyeballs are no different. Think of your local optometrist and ophthalmologist as your GP for your eye. And if your eyes are beyond, I'm not going to say ability because they have abilities, but if you're starting to feel like you're really outside the norm, get to the people that deal with those of us that are outside the norm. And I think you'll have better outcomes, hopefully.
Well, thanks, Karl,
Yeah.
for sharing everything that you have in these videos, and we will be putting forward more of this question and answer sort of format.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any questions for
Yeah,
Karl,
drop them in the comments and I'll try to get them all answered up for you. And this probably will be the last segment with my current right eye. And then from here on out, you'll either see me with a patched eye or with my new prosthetic. So I hope that I helped you all, and I hope you all have a great day and look forward to explaining the rest of the journey as the days go by.
thanks so much, Karl. Be sure just to like and subscribe so that you can get those notifications as they come in. Thanks so much, guys.